so yeah, just a little bit of everything. It's really fulfilling work. And then the last thing that I will add is that I myself am an HIV positive Latino gay man. And I have been HIV positive for about 17 years. So when I was 20, I was diagnosed when I was 20. And I'm gonna just say that, obviously, there's a lot of stigma still to this day, but I'm a lot older, I'm a lot wiser. We've come a long way in the field of HIV, especially with medications. And I am a vibrant, beautiful, um, young gay man that I'm still living my best life all day, every day for the people of the world because she ready. Okay.
There she goes. She ready. All right. So, did you ever envision yourself working in this field, or just kind of like, what did you want it to be when you grow up?
Oh, oh, Ricardo, let me tell you. So I'm gonna be completely honest, right? So imagine being diagnosed at 20, and you know, you think like, right, your whole life's ahead of you. I still hadn't graduated from college even. But I took it, believe it or not, I took it as kind of like a light under my ass, right? You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, no, like now you really got to go full throttle, live your best life, like, live life to the fullest kind of thing, right? I never really imagined that I was going to die. If anything, I was just going to live life each day like it was my last, but I never really imagined that I was really, really going to die like in 5 or 10 years.
Right.
Known already, the surface of what HIV was, at least in 2005, right? I knew that it wasn't a death sentence anymore. Um, but I actually got a internship at the Hyacinth AIDS Foundation while in college, and I started doing that work, and then they gave me my first job. So I wasn't stupid. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get this job, and I'm gonna get my coins. And I had graduated from college, and I moved to Jersey City, and I'm over here like this young HIV positive gay man and working in the HIV field, and it was hard because it was a reflection of myself that I didn't want to deal with, right?
Right.
And I but not to go too much into detail, I do think that I was able to learn a lot that moved me forward, right? I got a 101 crash course in, like, how to deal with HIV positive people, how to like the terminology, how to express myself, how others want to be treated. So I got a really good crash course in the field of HIV. But it wasn't until, so mind you, so 20 years old, diagnosed, working at Hyacinth and getting a job at 22 once I graduated, and then some years went by where I was totally in secret about my diagnosis, right? And it wasn't until 30 when I arrived at AHF that I said to myself, you know what? I see so many people that are like out and proud and not scared anymore, and they're like sharing their testimony and sharing their story, and it's so powerful, and it seems that now they have control over this virus and they're not letting this virus control them.
Right.
Once I decided to just make that jump to share my story and just be more out about my status, I really felt like all the worries in the world went away, because now there was no questioning about whether someone knows, doesn't know. It was just like, whoever I'm dating, like now I just tell them. Now people on social media will, sometimes they'll be like, oh my gosh, like you're so brave to like share your story. But also, I just wanted to let you know that thank you for sharing, because I myself am too, and I'm actually searching for help, right? Especially during the pandemic, a
Yeah.
lot of people reached out to me, because I would post like, hey, look, if you lost your insurance, you lost your job, I myself am HIV positive, like don't feel like you're alone, like there's resources out there. And so many people came out the woodworks, and I was just like, don't worry, like confidentiality is like my middle name. I'm not gonna out you, like I'm gonna help you to the best of my ability. And believe it or not, Richardo, I was able to help people in Florida and California, like just in the most random places. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so fulfilling.
No,
So
that's pretty exciting, and it's interesting because I've had some of the same responses, from quite a few people who were like calling and was like, "Hey, I'm looking to connect with medical care out in Arizona," and I'm like, Arizona. I was like, you're gonna I have to put on my linkage to care hat, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna find you someplace. We had people who were trying to relocate here, want to, kind of like also find a medical home. So I understand. I understand. So, how does it feel to, do you feel like there's this pressure on you now to kind of like carry the community, you know, banner around?
So initially before coming out about my status, like I did say to myself, like, I don't want people to define me like that. I don't want to necessarily be the poster boy, right? Because just to give people a little bit more background, right? I was a bartender and I had a big social media presence and I was kind of like this community person already. So it was like, just let people get to know Jamil and not Jamil, the HIV positive Jamil. But then as I started doing more community work and I started getting really invested, right? You know what I mean? Especially in the field of HIV, I said, no, I said, if anything, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to like really take it further where like if I'm doing this work, why not mesh it all together? You know what I mean? Why not mesh, my professional life with my personal life, and it can all coexist. And I used to think that it couldn't coexist,
Right.
you know, especially from the generation that we come from. It's like work is work, personal is personal, and people just, when they go home after that 9 to 5, that's it. But
Right.
we are also from that generation that started to shift, where like no, like now people are all up in your business because they can see what you did last night on social media, on your stories and on Facebook, and everybody's sharing their opinions.
Right.
Right.
And then we realize that the world is so small,
Yep.
as big as it is, so small. Because
uh,
then when you talk about like even from like an LGBTQ perspective, it's like you only have but so many spaces you can go to.
yep.
So it's not like if you work in prevention, you're gonna have all these abundance of spaces you can go to without seeing other individuals who you've just tested or you've tested last week. So, definitely create some challenges, but we had to navigate them.
Yep, yep. Yeah, yeah. And sincerely, it really is a small world. But people are curious, and believe it or not, I do think that it's uh it's good to put yourself out there to some degree because you never know who's also searching for some answers or who wants to share their story, right? And and people will confide in you, you know what I mean? Like, you could be like that person for someone to just be like, oh my gosh, like thank you for sharing because I'm not necessarily ready, but I at least wanted you to know that I am too, and that sometimes I'm looking for resources or just to ask a simple question like what's dating been like for you. I think that's maybe one of the biggest concerns that I've gotten from a lot of like people in general, and especially people who are diagnosed. They're like, oh my gosh, nobody's gonna love me because now I'm HIV positive. I'm like, no, don't worry, girl. Like somebody's gonna love you because you deserve to be loved, and that right person is gonna come and they're gonna love you. So don't worry about that.
And that's one of the questions, or one of the comments I should say, that a lot of people tend to kind of like go to, right? Who's gonna want me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Love me, like it's, and so what would you say to someone if they were to find out that they're HIV positive now, or like that they found out their status, last week or this week or a couple months ago? What would you say to them about, like, if they're having those thoughts about like who's gonna love me, who's gonna want me, I'm damaged goods?
Yeah, yeah. So when warranted, because I know that it's not always like the time and place for me to share my own story, but I do feel like that is the most powerful, especially for like young Black and Latino gay men of color, that I serve, most, and especially where I work in the Bronx. I think by them seeing someone that looks like them, that sounds like them, I think that's the most profound thing that I can kind of like share in the moment, especially if I feel like they're devastated and they're like, oh my God, my life is over, blah, blah, and I'll instantly be like, hey, look, I myself am, and I'm here for you. And I totally understand. And when you say you totally understand, I'm like, no, I really do understand. Like I've been where you are and it's going to be okay. And now, so much time has passed by, and and you, there's so many resources and it's not what it used to be, and even in my lifetime and my progression, we've come leaps and bounds, then we reassure them, and I reassure them that not only do they have me as a resource and they can text me, but also they have a team of people that now are going to be taking care of them. Not only the medical provider, but everybody from the front desk staff, the people in the pharmacy, even sometimes even the janitors, right? Because like sometimes they walk amongst our clients, and it's a simple hello, a friendly hello. It's just, I think at the end of the day, when we sometimes we go to certain spaces, we go to certain, like, we go to the doctors, right? Let's say for example, a big hospital system,
Mhm.
it's so overly saturated, it's not so intimate, it's not so friendly, right? Because there's like 100 people ahead of you, you have to wait hours, and then you got disgruntled employees. I'm happy to say that I sincerely am at a place, and I myself will never treat patients like that, but I can sincerely say that I surround myself, and I'm part of an organization that we treat people like people, the way we want to be treated, and I can say the same for you, Richardo. Sure,
Yes.
that's exactly what you do. You treat people like people, and you really, you try to go above and beyond from the day in and day out, and especially in our field, we have so many like components, right? Like linkage to care, and treatment, and are they going to get their medication at the pharmacy, but at the end of the day, if someone's like, "Hey, I need a job, I need a house, I mean, I need a place to live, I need food," we're gonna go to that extra mile. Be like, "I got you. We got the resources."
'Cause that's what it takes.
Mm.
We will try to find resources to help people, whether or not it's within state, within county, wherever it is. We'll call on each other to find the solutions.
Yep.
And I don't think that sometimes a lot of people don't get that, you know. And sorry, it just made me super emotional. That people sometimes don't really understand, like when someone comes in front of them for services, that it's not about pushing paper, it's not about, oh, I got to get through my list of clients. It's about really seeing the individual as an individual and really just working towards helping them to get the help that they need.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, no. I totally agree. And and people, you know, think about it. Like, you and I, we go into any space, we're greeted at a front desk, or we ourselves go to any appointment, and we're not stupid. And for anyone to ever assume that other people are like not paying attention, or that they're not gonna get it, or they're not gonna feel it, right? Because
Mhm.
humans, we're we use our instincts, we use our emotions, and I think we just really have to be aware that just when you think that people are not paying attention, people are paying attention. So treat them like people, and just make sure that you're aware that they're aware, so that you can get the best experience out of it. you know
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, we are here talking to Jamil Luna and community extraordinaire, advocate, friend, brother, cousin, um, and the list continues. And absolutely, it's just really amazing. He's amazing, y'all. He's
Thank
super amazing. And a little bit later on, he's going to talk about how you can follow him, and how you can see some of the stuff that he's done. And potentially, y'all need to get your She Ready merchandise.
you. Yes.
um, because it's out there.
Mhm.
And so, but we've been talking about like HIV and the impact that HIV has on our community, and kind of like identifying resources and treating people as humans and stuff like that. So, right at this point, we're going to stop to tell you that HIV stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. It is transmitted from blood, breast milk, sharing needles, vaginal secretion, anal secretion. You cannot get HIV from kissing, touching, using the same shower, drinking off the same cup, eating off the same knife and fork. You cannot get HIV from, what did I say, hugging. um, you know, but you can learn what HIV is. You can learn how to treat someone who's living with HIV with respect, with dignity, and you can understand that it's really if you're not living with HIV, you know let's not stigmatize somebody else who is. And a lot of times we have families who stigmatize other family members who are living with HIV because of the fear. And so if you have family members, or if you have people living in your family who are living with HIV and you're having a hard time really just kind of like grasping that concept, or just need some help with learning some of the facts and getting some of the education around that, you can definitely reach out to us, because we provide virtual opportunities for you to learn about HIV, and also for you to kind of like talk it through with your family members and other family who are living with HIV and who are not living with HIV, and then we connect you with opportunities so you can get tested and talk about those different subject areas, like how do you feel about getting tested, what was it like, and how you can support your family member living with HIV. It's such a sensitive topic, but it's also needed. And we have to start having those conversations if we want to really stop HIV. We can test all we want, we can get in care all we want, we can connect to all the services we want. But if we don't talk to each other and learn about how we can stop HIV, not only from just using condoms, about PrEP, about educating ourselves on all of those things, because a lot of people don't know PrEP exists. A lot of people don't know how to use condoms correctly. And condom isn't just about protecting you from babies, okay? It's about protecting you from HIV and protecting you from STDs. And those can have other adverse health effects on your bodies as well. So let's talk about it. Let's not be afraid of it. Let's talk about it. Put it on the table and have discussions about it. And if you feel like you want to have those discussions and you can't, you can reach out to us. We'll have information later floating across the stream, and you can reach out to us and we can help you to put those in perspective. So, you are, um, you represent your representation of
Mhm.
the Latinx community.
Yeah.
What would you say would be important? Because October 15th is Latinx HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. So
Mhm.
what would be something that you would say to Latinx individuals who may not know their status and why it's important for them to be tested?
Yeah, yeah, so yeah, so basically, from September 15th to October 15th is traditionally well known as Hispanic Heritage Month, but now we call it, Latinx Heritage Month. And the Latinx, just for people who don't know, is just more of a gender neutral terminology, right? To be all encompassing of everyone. And so, then October 15th is National Latino AIDS Awareness Day. And the reason that we observe that day is because it's still super important for people to go out and get tested and to know their status, because we know that, Hispanics, as well as our Black brothers and sisters, we are disproportionately affected by HIV. Why is it that, we're still becoming infected at higher rates, than our white counterparts? It's still an issue. It's still you know uh, present. I definitely want to say this as like a bold statement. Until there is a cure, we have to continue this fight, and we cannot give up, because it's the minute that we give up that you start to see the rates to go up. They start to trickle, right? I'm very curious to see like what some of the data may be from, like late in 2020 into 2021, right? Because as we know, so many healthcare centers and city government agencies closed down, right? People just couldn't go and get an, STI screening or get an HIV test or just go to the doctors in general. But that doesn't mean that people were not having sex. Hello.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yep. So, so I definitely, again, I'm going to say that statement one more time. Until we have a cure, we have to continue this fight. And so, I tell, my Latinx brothers and sisters that to not be afraid. There's so many resources out there, that are completely confidential. I know that a lot of people who are undocumented, the first thing they think is, oh my God, la migra. That they're gonna get reported, that ICE is gonna come, that they're gonna find out all their information, but our organizations are professionals at this. You know, we do this because we want to help our community and we want to provide the resources. And these resources are actually really, they're free, right? You know, we get grants. You know, we do this out of the kindness of our hearts. You know, we volunteer our time, we may hold events. And so, you know, during these next few weeks specifically, there's going to be a lot of pop-up events throughout the United States, for people who observe National Latinx Awareness Day. And for anybody who's actually wanting to know more information, there is actually a website. So if you go to like cdc.gov and you type in National Latinx Awareness Day, you know, it'll basically take you to like a page, and then you'll be able to like search more information. And I'm pretty sure that closer to the date they post all the events that'll be taking place. Um, and there's an organization here in New York, the Latino Commission on AIDS, who they do a lot of good work specifically with the Latinx community. And I think that they kind of oversee a lot of the work that's being done specifically with the Latino, you know, population. But yeah, you know, for example, just last week on the 22nd, we held a Hispanic Heritage Month event, and you know, we got people tested. We had a mariachi band for entertainment. People loved it. People were dancing. I think HIV in general is not what it used to be. So because of that, we have to make it sexy. You know, we have to make it entertaining. We have to see what's going to bring people out, right? You know, so you know, we wanted people to like enjoy themselves, but also like be educated about, hey, look, this is what you can do. These are the resources available, and you know, these are the risk factors. And if you or someone you know, like your family member, your son, your daughter, your cousin, your sister, your brother, whoever, you know, needs a condom or needs to go get tested, hey, at least you know you met a couple people here today that can steer you in the right direction. So I think that's kind of like in a nutshell what I would say to anybody who's interested in seeking resources.
And also, like in different states, your local county health departments will have information on like local events that are happening. So I know, like here in Palm Beach County, our local health department gets collects that information ahead of time and shoots it out to different organizations, different people on their mailing list, so they can so you know like what communities are having. And I think for us, um, we have we're participating in another agency's event. Triple H Ministries is hosting a his Latinx HIV/AIDS Awareness Day event in what's that? West Palm Beach, West Palm Beach. I think it's on like a Broadway and 36th Street for those of you who are in the area. And so basically, they're doing testing. They'll have, if you're experiencing homelessness, there'll be resources available. If you're experiencing hunger, there's always food in there. She also does pantry on Tuesdays, and you can get clothing if you need clothing. And then she offered tons of other help with other things like utilities, bus passes, and things of that nature. And there are also other resources are there. She sits right in the middle of a Guatemalan Venezuelan community. So definitely, we've had a pleasure of working with Latinx population, and I'm telling you, it's just amazing the level of work that she's doing. And so we have to work together if we're going to end it, because we definitely have to work together if we're going to end it. So tell us about She Ready.
She ready? Okay, so I will preface this with saying that I'm kind of like a catchphrase queen. And for quite some time, so I'm gonna start from the beginning of the catchphrases. So in college, I used to say Jesus and Jesus because you know it is Latinx Awareness Month and you know all that. So Jesus in Spanish is like a phrase that, like, especially my grandma, I got it from my grandmother, but it's a phrase that you could walk into a room and it's almost like saying like, hey, but you know how there's many iterations of hey and like
Mhm.
tone. So Jesus could be like, Jesus, I'm here. Like, I'm here. Jesus, like, oh my God. And so it got to the point at Rutgers that everyone thought my name was Jesus. Because everybody around me would be like, Jesus. So that's how it started. So it started with Jesus. And then as I got into my 20s and social media started to become like really live, with like Instagram, it was popping and everything. Then I started to be like, hala, hala, ladies and gentlemen, people of the world, hala, hala. And she has the message. And so there was a whole era where I was like, hello, hashtag hello. And then hashtag I have a message.
Yes.
And that was a whole era in itself. I even tried to brand it and copyright it and everything, but then somebody told me, "Bitch, you can copyright hello. Everybody says hello." I said, "Nobody says it like me. Hello." OMG! I even got T-shirts made. It was epic. So then, fast forward. Then I started saying, "For the people of the world." I don't.
Yes.
I think I was hearing the Spice Girls, "Spice up your life." But the people of the world, pop, pop. Maybe I got it from them. I don't know, but the people of the world. So now I'm saying the people of the world. So now people start, they start knowing me for Mr. Jomil Luna, people of the world. And then I found out about Tiffany Haddish, who I love. I love me some Tiffany Haddish. Oh, I love her. So, I heard her say, she ready. But, she says it the way she says it. So then I adapted it to my own, way of saying it. So I'm like, she ready, so that's how I adapted that. But it is hers. So I don't want her to sue me. But again, you know, it's a phrase that anybody can say, you know what I mean? So
Right.
right, so but I do think it has a significance. And what I do want to say about any of my catchphrases that I've said all these years, it's to create comfort, it's to break the ice. So I do that initially to do that because I'm a person that's very aware of my surroundings and I'm very, very empathetic. So whenever I go into a space, I kind of start to, I get the vibes. So I'm always the first one to try to like create like a calm or like a welcoming, happy space. So that's why I've created all these hashtags and all these like catchphrases, because I kind of want to just make people comfortable and laugh and smile, obviously. But she ready, I think, is really powerful because it's almost like when you're not ready, you can tell yourself, you can psych yourself out and be like, she ready, and there's something to be said about being ready. And like whenever you're preparing for, like, let's say a speech, a job interview, a date, whatever the case may be, you might not be ready, but you got to be brave and you got to put yourself out there. And I think it's just like a phrase that encompasses that. So yeah, so in a nutshell, that's where I'm at now with my catchphrases. At she ready. I still use for the people of the world sometimes, but she ready really has taken off, and now everybody in New York, New Jersey, would be like, she ready. Oh, and then I should add. So, I recently started doing drag in 2019. So, I was kind of like playing with her name. So I used to call myself a cha-cha boy. And when I was behind the bar as a bartender, I used to be like, I'm a cha-cha boy because I used to throw in little wigs and I used to be like, right? So then when I did drag for the first time, I said, what would my drag name be? And I said, I'm just going to be Cha-Cha. But then I was like, it needs something else, right? So Cha-Cha Luna, my last name is pretty cool, right? So I'm like Cha-Cha Luna or Cha-Cha She Ready. So I started to incorporate She Ready into my hosting gigs.
Okay.
So so for example, I did an event for the Bronx Borough president, and she was like, oh, can Chacha come and host and do a performance? So then I started saying, if you stay ready, you don't gotta get ready. She ready. Yo, and everybody, I swear, the whole time, everybody, it took off. It's like very catchy, right?
Yeah.
But it resonates. I think it resonates with people, and that's the most important thing.
And if you're just hearing this for the first time, guys, I've lived through the whole what do you call it? The whole history, the whole stages of each of
Yep.
those, and still going.
Still going. I mean, who knows? Maybe in a year or two, something else will strike me, and then I'll just repeat that 100 times a day.
I know, because when I worked in the Bronx, I had my alter ego was what was her name? Esmeralda
Oh
de
yeah.
los Santos de Jesus,
Oh.
and she was a Dominican girl with a bad accent.
Oh snap! With an attitude.
And she went on to having like her own newsletter, and it was all these stories about how she's traveling the world having a wonderful time, and it was like a whole monthly newsletter, and like
Right.
the folks in my office would just eat it up every month. Like it would be on their desk waiting, and they're like, "Where's she at now? What's she doing? Is she coming to the party? What happened?"
Oh God.
But of course, she shows up once a year for the one night only concert to
Yeah.
raise awareness about HIV. Um, and then
Oh.
and then of course Kenny kept calling me Chula. So
Ah.
so
Yeah.
that's my official they call it side name now. So he was like, Chula, what you doing?
Oh snap! Well, I want to see her. You need to send me a picture of her.
Yeah.
Esmeralda. So wait, is it Esmeralda or is it now Chula?
Well, now he just called me Chula. I'm not, I'm a Florida girl now. So
Oh yeah, yeah. All right. I like it. Oh snap! I like it.
yeah.
It's cute.
So, yeah, that's just Chula for short now. But it used to be Esmeralda de los Santos de Jesus, and I was like, I don't even know where it come from. And she didn't really speak English that well, but she also didn't really speak Spanish either.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
So it was just kind of, she had a black daddy and a Hispanic mama. So you
Oh,
know how that goes.
oh, oh, hello. Yep, yep.
It was just one of those things. And we went to DC one time, and we went for like I think it was like an AIDS Alliance conference or something like that. And a trans woman was I think she was on the train or going someplace, and they kind of like gay bashed or hate crime or whatever the case is. And so there's like lots of protests, and a couple of me and my friends, we literally dressed like guys, um, like cisgender men to be corrected, and then we all wore wigs,
Mhm.
and we was just cutting up on the train the whole time. We were just it was just big wigs, just exaggerated, because we wanted to just kind of like show our support for our trans sisters and say, hey, listen, you can't just disrespect and treat one of us like dirt, and we just take it and roll over. So we would get on that on that train. We walked around. We were just showing support in the same area that it happened, and we were just like, do it, do something. And
Right.
sometimes that's what it takes to show up for each other. It's just
Yep.
really just be present. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. So, you know, so is that the next stage of She Ready?
Yeah. No. So you mean like Cha Cha?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will say this, and I'm obviously, so I'm 37 now, right? So I'm late to the game in terms of. So, I'm already hormonally changed a little bit. I've gone off on the deep end. But there is something so interesting that's happening in my own mind when I do turn into her. And believe it or not, like, there's not only a creative outlet that I am enjoying 100%, and I feel like evolving, because like, the art of makeup is a beautiful art, but it's also really hard and it's time consuming. And then the art of, like, the styling and all that stuff. So for example, like, I just did a gig last night, and it took me 4 hours, not including shaving, my hair, because you got to give the illusion, baby. You got to shave everything. I even shaved my chest hair and everything, because I was like, nobody's gonna clock me. So, between shaving, between preparing, and the makeup and everything, for me to do it well, because I'm not a professional yet, with the makeup especially, it took me 4 hours. And I applaud all my drag artists out there, because it is hard work. So when they get on that stage and they look fabulous and they doing backflips and all that stuff, it took them quite some time, and it's not easy. And the heels.
Hmm.
performing in heels. It's not easy. It's very exhausting. Um, but I say that to say, so I enjoy it. It's a beautiful thing, um, and I plan to continue it. But there is, I'm taking it day by day. I'm taking it at my own pace. So, I'm not trying to be like necessarily like a full blown like club drag queen where I'm performing at venues like every weekend. Like that's not necessarily what I want to do. I really want to do the community type of drag where, if somebody says, "Hey, look, we have a LGBTQ plus progressive flag crosswalk painting," like I want to be at that event and I would love to be booked for that. Like last night was an art event in Jersey City, and they were like, "Oh, we would love for Chacha to come and host," and I was like, "Sure." And I did interviews, and I talked to people, and people loved how I looked, and people wanted to take pictures, and there were kids, and the kids loved, and they gravitated towards it. So there's something to be said about art. I mean, drag as an art form that is so it draws you in and it makes people happy, and that's what I've seen. I'm gonna be completely honest. Jomil Luna loves to host too, but not everybody wants to look at this man. Like they like it's harder. Like the pizzazz, right? Sometimes like people are just looking for a little something extra, and drag really creates that little extra. Um,
And you can turn up the energy. You
yes,
can turn
yes,
the energy goes to like 1,000%. Like
totally.
you people are able to step outside of their comfort zone and step outside of their norm to
Yep.
just kind of like really embrace that drag experience. And
Yes.
also, if you're watching, I want you to do the explanation of this for me. If you're watching and you hear us talking about drag and drag queens, that does not mean transgender. So
No.
can you please
Yes. Yes.
straight to me,
People.
please?
So we come from, let's take it back in time, right? Where, I remember going to like escuelitas in New York right? So taking it back to the old school for us at least, right? So I remember
Right?
people using the word tranny, all the time, right? And now we know better that, we do have, um, male to female or female to male, and we call them trans, right? They are in transition, and you have to respect that. And so, especially for like a male to female, back in the day, they would use that terminology and it was derogatory in a way, you know what I mean? Even though the girls would use that lingo amongst themselves, but what if they didn't identify like that? What if they truly were transitioning to become a woman? So drag and someone who's transitioning are two totally separate things. So for example, I like the art of drag, but I'm still a cisgender man, most of the time, right? So when I decide to become cha-cha, I'm doing drag as an art form to become a woman and to create an illusion. So that's that. But then we have Jose, my friend Jose, right? And I'm just using it as an example. He doesn't really exist, but I have a friend Jose, and Jose told me, this is just an example. Hey Jamil, I'm thinking about transitioning because I've always felt like a woman in the body of a man. So Jose may go through the transition process of talking to a doctor, a provider, getting the support system around them to start transitioning so that he can now become she. And then and it's a process, right? They may go through the process of, like, let's say, growing out their own hair and taking hormones, to even doing gender reassignment surgery. So it is very different. And my suggestion to anybody that is unsure is to ask, hey, what's your name? If you don't know how, even gender pronouns, right? Just ask, hey, how do you like to be referred to? And then, or ask the person their name, and they will most likely tell you, oh, I used to be Jose, now I'm Sarah, and I go by they, right? And that's just a simple example. But it's just better to be safe than sorry by asking, because people can be offended, especially in a public place, right? We don't offend each other, and we want to keep people's identities, sacred. You know what I mean? Because it takes a lot, one, for anybody who identifies as, a gay man, lesbian, that takes a lot, right? To come out and to kind of like, walk amongst, a heterosexual world or population. But imagine someone who's in transition that's, literally trying to make this transition, and they're being judged at, at face value,
Hmm.
not for the person that they are. Let me give you a story that it broke my heart. Last year, somebody reached out to me on social media, and they said, "Oh, hi Jamil. I follow you, and I really enjoy everything that you're about, because you seem to really, create a space for anybody who's LGBTQ plus." They said, I'm currently looking for a job because my dream job fell through." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. What was it?" They said, "I wanted to be a fire or firewoman," right? But they were still in transition. So they basically were like told that they couldn't go through with the program, or they were kind of like discriminated against, from getting into the program to become a fireman. And it broke my heart, because like that's their dream job. Why can't they, right? And so then we had discussions about, like, what are other some potential jobs, careers that they could potentially take on. So I'm not necessarily an expert, but I do know like some of the resources. So like I started to look online, and I was like, well, you can go to like these websites, and maybe like talk to some counselors, maybe call and get information, see if they're hiring. And I definitely referred them to like the local agencies that I know in New York, to see if maybe, because working in the field of HIV, more often than not, you're gonna have more LGBTQ plus representation.
Right.
That's not the norm for any other job, right? Yeah,
Right.
I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna say, if you work in accounting, I mean, unless somebody's like really out and proud, right? You're not necessarily gonna know, by walking into the space, right?
Right.
Um, Even tech jobs, a lot of tech jobs is not necessarily the norm, right? But I think that now we're starting to find out, and with online spaces and in general, people are starting to express themselves and say, hey, look, I'm a techie, but I'm also LGBTQ plus, right? So yeah, so in a nutshell, definitely, just ask questions, be curious, and at the end of the day, it's better to be safe than sorry by just asking, because we need to respect each other.
Yeah, and if you make a mistake, just apologize
Yep.
and move forward.
Yeah.
Don't you know just belabor it and just continue to the point where you have this person saying, no, it's okay, it's fine, you're good, because now you're making that person feel bad for the
Yep.
fact that you made a mistake. And so just say, I'm really sorry, apologize, just kind of like whatever the case is. But like Jamil said, just ask.
Hmm.
If you're unsure, just ask. And you can't, first of all, you can't go wrong if you learn someone's name and you call them their name. Hey, what's your name? And you address them by their name.
Hmm.
I do I do an LGBT cultural sensitivity training, and one of them does have a trans woman and an interaction with like a front desk staff, and how that rolls out. And so, and we give people the scenario and have them come up with a positive response to this. And it's it's amazed me sometimes when some of the responses I'm just like, oh my god, we need to start this presentation from the scratch because sometimes people get all the way there and then they just can't get around it. And sometimes it's we recognize it's not other people's that's the problem. Is sometimes you have to look at yourself as like why something is a problem for you, and before you kind of like start having an opinion that's negative, really ask yourself, like, why am I having this opinion? How does this impact my life? How does this impact what I'm doing on a day to day? And just doing it. And then, like I always ask people to close their eyes and say, okay, fine. Imagine if you woke up tomorrow morning and it was illegal for you to be straight,
Yeah.
and you can't, these rights are no longer available to you because you're straight. And people will just be like, hell no, I'm going, no, this, oh, no, no, and I'll fight, oh no, this. And I was like, so imagine the people who feel that way
Hmm.
because you feel like or you're overwhelming, your group should have this overwhelming say on what everybody else's does. So it's just kind of like, to have those discussions. And I like talking to my church folks, and when we talk about it and talk about the fact that me and my husband have kids, and you know how we're raising our kids and whatever, and there's just, it's always like this fascination, right, of like, so how does this work, how does that work, and you can see in those moments that people are learning things that they haven't learned, or they're trying to step away from like those negative things that they were taught all these years, because then they're realizing like, wait a minute, I have LGBTQ plus people in my family.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
How do I go from this hate-filled message that I've learned at church or out in the community or wherever all these years, to now interacting with that person sitting at my Thanksgiving table?
Yep. Right.
And sometimes, some of those can be very hard experiences, and
Mm-hmm.
some of those can be very harsh experiences on both sides of the coin, in a sense. But it's what's even harsher is when you have someone who's experienced stigma and discrimination within their own families. This can have like more traumatic, um, and trauma filled, uh, repercussions for this person. So yeah, so it's crazy. So just because you hear us talking about drag, doing drag, it doesn't mean transgender. It doesn't mean a transgender person. So please do not think that all drag personality is the trans person, and don't think that all trans people are just doing drag.
Yeah.
Um, please learn the difference. If you don't know the difference, please call us. We can help you. Message us in the inbox. So what I realized at the front of the broadcast, part of your intro was not was not on our live. So as we're about to close out, we want to thank you for being on the show, but I want to just give you an opportunity to reset your intro again and just tell us who you are and what you do, and also if people would like to follow you or find you or ask you questions, how they can find you.
Yes, yes, yes. So, hi everyone again. Thank you, Ricardo, again for giving me the opportunity to just share not only what I do, but my story. So, basically, an HIV positive Latino gay man, and we are celebrating Latinx Heritage Month, and we have many awareness days, such as National Latino AIDS Awareness Day. And so I'm a public health community person. I've been working in the field of HIV for like 15 plus years. And so it's what I love. I love to give back. I love to make people happy and smile and laugh. And so I have always tried to be, in some ways, non traditional in my approach. And I think that that is what speaks to not only me and my soul, but I think it speaks to the masses. And I think that we can learn from each other, in terms of like how we do this work better. And as we saw, maybe like in 2020, we were able to apply so many aspects of what we've learned throughout the years of HIV to COVID, and now it's crazy, right? Now to monkeypox, right? We've been able to like expand from field to field to field because we've learned to not necessarily make the same mistakes, right? So what are those like mistakes that we made in the past? We didn't address it head on and quickly and swiftly, and we didn't include our people of color. We didn't bring people to the table. So it's about sharing the spaces and bringing everyone to the table. And I want to be very clear that it's everyone. When I say like everyone, I mean not only gay men, because gay men often are like the number one targeted, especially with when we talk about HIV. But it can affect women, and our trans community. So let's bring everybody to the table. Let's have more of a neutrality, right? Let's kind of like come to an even playing field. And so I know that in New York there's a bigger push for like a status neutral approach, and that's like new for people to like understand. But it's just kind of like like, hey, look, you walk into a space, if you know your status, great. If you don't, do you want an HIV test? That's kind of like the approach, right? And just creating a space for that everybody can coexist on the same playing field, and it's not like them versus me, right? Um, and then, in a nutshell, I do have like a drag persona. Her name is Cha Cha Luna. Cha Cha, she ready because she stay ready. Because if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. Okay, she ready. And throughout the years, as Ricardo and I were saying, I have had many catchphrases, and I will definitely. I'm really, really, really active on Instagram. That's kind of like my home right now, just because I feel like that's where things are kind of like moving towards. Not so much TikTok because of the breakup. I kind of had to stick to one thing because all these social media outlets can run you ragged because it's a full-time job.
Hmm.
My Instagram is my name, Jomil, Jomil underscore Luna. So Jomil underscore Luna. That's how you can find me on Instagram. And I love creating reels. I love making people laugh. I do some stuff with Cha Cha. Every now and then, if there's a community event, I'll post it. So that you can come out. But follow, follow, follow. And then on Facebook, it's Jomil Luna. And then because my ex and I are really cool, you can follow our TikTok, which still exists. It's just that we're not as active as before. But it's Felicia, just double check, but I think it's Felicia Luna Max. But I don't know if there's dots in between. I think there's dots in between. So it's Felicia.Luna.Max or Felicia Luna Max. But search either one and you can find us there. What else? And then if you are in the New York area or if you know anyone in the New York area, you can search, you can go to hivcare.org and you can put your zip code and it'll take you to us, or ahf.org. And I'm in the Bronx, so if you ever want to just search, HF Bronx, you can get connected to me, and I can connect people all day, every day to HIV services as well as PrEP or any STI screen. And I think that's it in a nutshell.
Yep. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes.
We're gonna have to have you back. You're gonna have to come back and do a performance for us.
Yeah. Right. That would be fun. I never got to perform during COVID, like how all the girls were doing their shows on social media.
Oh, really?
I never got to do that, but I'm willing to give it a try.
You know, you know. Okay, I'm
That's
gonna have to talk to you after the show.
okay.
So yeah, so thank you guys for watching. If you're watching this, always remember it is important for you to know your HIV status. So please, please, please get an HIV test. The only way to know that if you have HIV is to get an HIV test. You can with us, you can reach out to us. You do everything online. So when you come into our office, boom, 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 you're done. 5 to 10 minutes, you're in and out. Um, so definitely, definitely. And then follow us and go to our website if you need additional services and stuff like that. We will do. we'll be able to provide you with that. We have free HIV testing. We have condom by mail and a whole bunch of other stuff of resources available. So definitely reach out to us. And of course, follow us on Facebook, follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on Instagram. Please like and share. We're more active on Facebook, of course. So please follow us there at Campbell Health Solutions. We really appreciate you being on tonight. And your wonderful, beautiful skyline has faded now into darkness.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, it's lighting up a little bit. It's lighting up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, starting to clear up. But
Yes.
Ricardo, thank you for the opportunity, and everyone, definitely follow, follow, follow. And I'm so proud of you with what you're doing with Campbell Health Solutions. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Bye.